My fellow Americans, just watching the Obama speech from the other day. I just finished watching it. Standing in front of the flags, reading the auto cue, the suit wearing the man. Our objective is clear. We will degrade and ultimately destroy ISIL through a comprehensive and sustained counter-terrorism strategy. Fucking sanitized political language in the 21st century. It's a war, Mr. Obama. Please call it what it is. More airstrikes in Iraq and going after ISIS in Syria now. The Russians are not happy, neither is the Assad regime, obviously. This is a fast-moving, fluid situation, new happenings daily. I think John Kerry's going around the Middle East right now doing his drumming up support routine. Yeah, putting together a coalition of the willing, Team America. You can see this escalating, can't you? You can see this turning into a new nightmare for the United States. The US is no stranger to bombing foreign countries, of course. The speech had that all too predictable America the Brave, we're number one theme to it. And the religious language was there, you know. Calling the enemy evil, vowing to vanquish the enemy from the earth. Tough guy talk. Of course, this is going to add to the existing violence and brutality in the Middle East once more. Yep. More dead civilians, more bloodshed, more families destroyed, from which springs more violence, more young men who are willing to pick up the gun or pick up the sword. War impoverishes physically, mentally and emotionally. I'm sure the US can rely on NATO members for support of a prolonged and costly military campaign in the Middle East, though. Yeah. So yeah, John Kerry doing his routine. He's already called the Islamic State group a manifestation of evil, so religious language, tough guy talk, just like his president. I'm pretty sure there'll be more tough guy talk to come in the weeks, months and even years ahead. Yeah. Keeping up with the news yesterday, it's clear that the UK is getting involved militarily. Yes, we're a NATO member. Various Arab countries are going to support this fight against ISIL. And the Americans have other supporters, obviously, in the wider world. A couple of weeks ago, or was it more than a couple of weeks ago? I don't know. Our leader, another tough talker, Mr. David Cameron, raised the terror threat level to severe. He's very earnest when it comes to making a speech about terrorism, talking about national security and protecting the British people, standing in front of the Union Jacks. Are such speeches designed to be reassuring and informative? Or are they designed to spread fear? Scare the shit out of those who scare easy? If the latter is true, I can personally assure the Prime Minister that I don't scare so easy. And many people are in the same boat as myself. Western leaders can point to the quote-unquote barbarity of ISIS fighters, these Wahhabis, They can point to the beheadings and the killing of children. Yeah, but US bombs kill children just the same as Wahhabi militants. No. And US allies like Saudi Arabia are well known for religious intolerance and cutting people's heads off. Yeah, but of course that country is a friend of the US, so we can ignore their brutality. That's the kind of brutality that people in the US and the UK don't need to be hearing about in the news on a daily basis, as one suspects this would not further the interests of our leaders at this time. The Middle East is a mess, it's no secret. You can point the finger squarely at the US or squarely at Western interference if you like, but a sensible person knows that, you know, the situation's more complex and nuanced. You can't just blame the West or the US for problems in the Middle East. It ain't that simple. Having said that, clumsy, ill-conceived, short-sighted and in some cases childlike US foreign policy is part of the problem. The violence in the Middle East is being exacerbated by those who claim to be acting in the interests of national defence. I have to ask, is this the best strategy that the world, or those who claim to represent the world, can come up with? We're going to deal with terrorism. How are we going to deal with terrorism? By blowing people up, of course, by demonizing the other, by dehumanizing the enemy, by sanitizing language, by standing in front of national flags in suits, sounding very earnest, by using religious language. But we're not going to give the people a more nuanced and complex perspective of what's going on. We're not going to try and give them a broader and more accurate perspective, no, because that would not serve our purposes at this time. Many people are very eager for violence, aren't they? But many people here in Europe, as in the Middle East, as in Africa and Asia, simply hunger for peace. But the sectarian fire will keep burning though. Old hatreds will remain alive. Old hatreds will keep snuffing out new life. Peace will remain but a pleasant dream for as long as there are significant numbers of those who cling to fanaticism, hatred and the will to revenge. But we don't have to play this game, you or I. We don't have to play the game of fanaticism, hatred and the will to revenge. We can play a different game. We can play a better one.